In fact, he even said to the other pilot, I'm not right. So apparently he was up for 40 hours prior to getting in this and on some mushrooms. The fuck? There's two issues. One, he's trying to kill everybody on board. That's a problem. What they're going to have to show is that he intended to kill everybody on board.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Today we're reacting to the airline almost catastrophe that happened in Seattle. This guy was charged with a lot of counts. We're going to kind of dive into it a little bit and figure out if he has a defense. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by, you got it, eSign.com. eSign.com is a very effective way to what? Remotely do business. So let's say you're an airline pilot and all of a sudden you are now the ire of the airline industry because you showed up on mushrooms. Not a smart thing to do. Guess what? You need to pound the pavement and look for a job. So you go to one of the websites and guess what they have you to do? They have you fill out an application, and you know what they did before you got the application? They downloaded eSign. eSign, download the app. You get 3 free signatures a month. That's what we do. We sign up with eSign all the time. You guys should sign up with eSign. eSign is a very effective way to remotely and quickly do business. Now, let's talk about what happened here. So apparently, Joseph Emerson, who's a 44-year-old pilot, was riding a deadhead. Deadhead is when you ride the jump seat. Basically, it's an off-duty pilot, takes advantage of a free seat in an airplane, right? He's riding in this jump seat, and he's having some issues unknown to the pilots in the aircraft, and he tries to activate the fire suppression system, which would have cut the fuel to the engines, which would have made it a disastrous plummet to the earth kind of thing. So let's listen to what's going on in the cockpit.
Okay, I'll just give you a heads up. We've got the guy that tried to shut the engines down out of the cockpit, and he doesn't sound like he's causing any issue in the back right now. I think he's the dude. Other than that, we want law enforcement as soon as we get on the ground and park.
There's two issues. One, he's trying to kill everybody on board. That's a problem by shutting the engines down. And he tried to shut the engines down, evidently, by activating the fire suppression system in the cockpit. Apparently that turns off the fuel. Keep in mind, I am not a pilot, although I've flown a little bit, but I am, and I don't know jack about these aircraft in terms of their mechanics. So if I get something wrong, let me know in the comments. So you got that issue. And then once you figure that out and stop that conduct from happening, then you have to subdue him. In other words, you need to put handcuffs on him and you need to get down on the ground as fast as possible. So this guy no longer poses a threat.
The threat is now in the back of the airplane, so we're reduced on the threat level. We're going to check in with the flight attendant to make sure everything is running smoothly, but it seems like he settled down as soon as he, after one moment of going a little bit overboard, we put him in the back. So it escalated to a 4 for but he's out of the cockpit now.
So escalated to a 4. I assume 4 is high because they want to land right away, and what do they want? They want law enforcement right away.
He's handcuffed, and he's in the aft-back jump seat when law enforcement arrives, and right now he's staying calm.
Here's the rub on this. He has been charged with 83 counts, I think, of attempted murder, because that represents all the souls on board. That's why they use that term. And a bunch of other charges. Now, here's the problem that I have with these charges. He was not doing okay. In fact, he even said to the other pilot, I'm not right. So apparently he was up for 40 hours prior to getting in this, and on some mushrooms. What the fuck? It used to be, we had this gaggle of lawyers back in the 70s. One of the lawyers was drunk at a bar. They brought him to the airport, and they put him on an airplane to Montana with no ID and no money. And he was just shit-faced. Oh, he'll be fine. He's just this dawdling old dude. And then he wakes up in Montana with nothing. And it was kind of funny back then because he was always bragging about how he's from Montana. And he was never from fucking Montana. You know, I wrestle horses, blah, blah. It was all bullshit. But you can't do that nowadays. First of all, you can't even get to a gate unless you have a ticket. But if you're intoxicated or drunk, they're going to smell it on you, and they're not going to let you on the airplane. You can have a few drinks and get on the airplane. You can have a few drinks on the airplane. But if you're out of control, if you're out of control drunk, they won't let you out of the plane. Or if you're falling down drunk, they won't let you on the airplane. Now, I don't know that they have a protocol for psilocybin mushrooms, and that's what he was on. So what are we dealing with? We've got these counts of attempted murder. Attempted murder. What they're going to have to show is that he intended to kill everybody on board. Being voluntarily intoxicated doesn't absolve you of responsibility for what you're doing. Okay? But you have to know and have the intent to kill when you act. And if you're voluntarily intoxicated, that intoxication could take away an element, like intent.
I'm going to quote from the complaint. The officer and Emerson, this is the interrogating officer, talked about the use of psychedelic mushrooms, and Emerson said it was his first time taking mushrooms.
So, two things. One, I'm really glad it was the mushrooms and not some philosophical, I want to die, so you're all going to die kind of thing. You know, so that's good. And it's his first time fucking trying mushrooms. Stay out of the cockpit. I don't care if you're flying or not, if you've had mushrooms.
That's from the federal complaint. The FBI is investigating, we're told, whether he was under the influence or to what extent when he tried to shut down the plane's engines while sitting in the cockpit.
First thing they're going to do is test his blood right when he gets off the airplane. They're going to want to get a warrant or get consent to test his blood.
It seemed like the pilots weren't paying attention to what was going on. It didn't seem right. He continues, yeah, I pulled both emergency shutoff handles because I thought I was dreaming and I just wanted to wake up.
My God, I thought I was dreaming and I just wanted to wake up. So you got interference with a flight crew. That won't be hard to prove. That'll stick. That and there are some mitigating circumstances, but taking illegal drugs, and that's your mitigating circumstance, that'll help him, oddly enough. But it is more of a defense to attempted murder, because if he thinks he's in a dream state and he thinks he's actually doing something good and not really having the intent to kill anybody, but nobody's listening to him and he doesn't think that they know what they're doing, what is the pilot really doing? You know, and that intent thing is all that attempted murder is based on. And, you know, the thoughts and the intentions of the actor.
The complaint goes on to say that after he was ejected from the cockpit because the pilots took control and made sure he didn't shut down the engines, he tried to open the emergency exit of the plane and a flight.
And that's why it's really important to subdue this son of a bitch, you know, before he does any other damage.
And the complaint says that he was experiencing depression. He lives in Northern California, and there's been interviews with neighbors who said they found him to be a very pleasant and normal person and never didn't see any sign of anything amiss.
Normal, pleasant person, except for when he's on mushrooms and trying to take down an aircraft. This will probably wind up in, you know, without a trial. It'll be a mental health type of defense. It'll be mitigated to the extent that, you know, he's not going to be convicted of 83 counts or however 80 some odd counts of attempted murder. That is really a little overblown. And if he were convicted of 83 counts, most of the time those kinds of things are considered consecutive counts because they have to take into account each victim, and they would and it would certainly be more than a life sentence for him. Let's see what his neighbors had to say.
Neighbors describe Joseph David Emerson as a family man who loves his wife and 2 children.
He's a very good dad, as far as I could tell. You know, he's always playing with the kids, always doing things for them, taking them places.
He also liked to take flight as a commercial pilot for Alaska Airlines, neighbors say.
Every time we go to Seattle, we're like, that could be our neighbor driving us, riding us there, piloting us there. But when I heard the news, I'm like, what?
Isn't that how it is a lot of times when something serious happens? People are like, what the hell? And there's no way I would ever have known. But when you have mental health issues and you decide to self-medicate because you have depression and you've heard that, mushrooms are, something to do. Well, guess what? That can be have an adverse effect. That's why I'm so afraid to try any drug at all, to be quite frank with you. And maybe I go overboard, but just a little alcohol for me and see you later.
It's near Seattle where a Horizon flight took a turn on Sunday, never reaching San Francisco. Emerson was in the jump seat behind the...
Yeah, they wound up diverting to Portland, Oregon. So they didn't go very far.
Pilots accused of trying to shut the engines down mid-flight with dozens of passengers on board.
It just is very surprising.
The plane landed safely in Portland.
Surprising? Well, imagine how the crew felt. Holy shit, this is one of ours trying to bring us down?
Any off-duty pilots using the jump seat are extensively vetted. Outside Emerson's home, a sign reads, "Free flying lessons. Inquire inside."
Free flying lessons. Now, is he talking about flying from drugs, or is he trying... No, I'm kidding. This is not an ill-intentioned kind of offense. It sounds so grandiose, and it sounds serious, and it is very serious. But it is an attempted murder times 83. It just isn't. Is it interference with a flight crew? It certainly is. Will this probably make him lose his license? It probably will, unfortunately.
He also coached his son's baseball team in Pleasant Hill and was known for having family-friendly backyard parties.
Our grandson goes over there when he's visiting us, and his kids come over here.
One of the things when you have a life, and it sounds like he had a life, when you have all the trappings of success, all the trappings of being a decent person, all of a sudden, all of that comes crashing down when you have an event like this. Your life all of a sudden is no longer your life. Now he's sitting in jail, awaiting, probably a detention hearing. And, he'll probably get released, I would bet. When you have 83 counts, first of all, he's probably in federal custody right now. And you have a right to have a detention hearing in federal custody. When you're in federal custody, they can detain you if there is some reason to detain you. And what are the two things that we talk about with bail? Risk of flight, which he probably is not a risk of flight, and danger to the public. Well, we keep him away from fucking airplanes, he's probably going to be fine. But he's probably mortified by this. He absolutely is mortified. So if he wasn't depressed before, he probably is now. And I don't mean to make light of that, but these are traumatic events for people. And that's the other thing a court looks at. Danger to yourself. Are you going to commit suicide if I let you out?
Super shocked because he's not the kind of a person.
It has made many here wonder if what happened was malicious or a mid-air misunderstanding.
There could be something we don't know yet. Something not which can exonerate him, I hope.
See, I like it when people think like that. There must be some more to the story. And here we found out later that there is. We'll continue to follow this one. My heart goes out to him because, if he's doing mushrooms, something's missing somewhere. Generally speaking, when you turn to mushrooms, that's exotic. It's an exotic type of drug in the sense that it's not just something that you would normally do. I've never tried mushrooms, and I don't want to know what I'd be like on mushrooms. I'm too much of a chicken to try drugs. I've never seen anything that says, take my freedom, take my money, take my health, but God damn it, give me more of it. And one of the conditions will definitely be, if he is released, to be released, under supervision of probation, to not have any chemical use, don't enter any bars or restaurants, or his main source of business is alcohol sales. So he'll have to remain sober. But let's say he gets out on the federal thing. He goes to a detention hearing, they release him on bond, and then all of a sudden, then the state picks him up, and then they put him in their jail, and then they have a detention hearing over there. And 83 counts of attempted murder. That is he'll probably have $1 million bail over there. So my heart goes out to Mr. Emerson and his family. It's really sad when you think about, somebody under crisis like this, and he doesn't sound malicious. Maybe we'll find out some more. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board certified criminal defense lawyer. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and make sure you sign up for Patreon. See you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?